Hello everyone, welcome to another paint with me video. Today we're going to paint another one of my favorite pieces. This one is titled Nocturnal Secret. The print will be in the description, but it's a print of an earlier version of this painting, not this exact piece. Now I'm just doing a quick sketch to get the basic layout down. First, I will start with the color of the sky. I'm using pre-mixed paint that I already have, which is leftover white paint that I gradually collected from my palette, so it's not pure white. I'm mixing it with my pure white to create a misty, cloudy look. I'm also adding a little bit of blue. Now I'm mixing olive green with jade green. If you don't have these exact shades, you can create a similar color by mixing regular green with a small amount of red and blue. I'm also blending this with the leftover white mixture from earlier to create a softer muted tone for the distant areas, since objects further away tend to appear less saturated. For the left side, where the ground is closer, I'm using a deeper, more intense version of the green. I'm blending the colors gradually, but don't worry if your blending isn't perfect. Sometimes I intentionally leave visible brush strokes because I like the texture they add to the painting. If your blending doesn't turn out exactly how you want, that's totally fine. Once we add details later, any rough blending won't stand out as much. Now, as I work on the foreground, I'm deepening the green by mixing in some black. This helps create contrast and gives a sense of depth. At this stage, I'm loosely marking where the tree trunks will go. I'm also going back to add more layers to the ground. If it's a little difficult to follow what I'm doing because I'm painting intuitively rather than in a strict order, feel free to pause the video and take your time to follow along. Now I'm painting the small creek in the middle using the same color as the sky from earlier. This helps create harmony in the painting since water often reflects the sky. Next, I'm mixing jade green with some random leftover paint on my palette to create a grayish blue color for the distant trees. Ideally, the color should be even more muted because the farther the tree, the less saturated it appears. As the trees get closer, I'll gradually make the color stronger to create a sense of depth. On the left side, I want the trees to feel denser, so I'm covering that entire area with this muted color and adding a few pine trees that extend outward. For the faraway trees, I'm keeping the color very muted. Now I'm adding shadows to the ground. I'm using a black mixture with a little bit of green. I'm also adding moss, a greenish color, on top of the rocks and on the fallen tree trunk. I'm placing shadows here and there on the ground, as you can see. Now I'm going back to painting the pine trees since the previous layer has dried. I'm using the same color as before but adding more black to make it more intense since these trees are getting closer. Finally, I'm painting a tree that is even closer to us, so I'm making it even darker. I'm mixing more black with the leftover paint to create a strong contrast. At this point, I'm switching to a smaller brush to shape the branches more precisely. If you feel like the right side of your painting looks too empty, you can add another tree to balance out the composition. Here I'm adding a few rocks in the creek using the black mixture from earlier and placing them randomly throughout the water. I'm also adding more shadows in the creek. Now comes my favorite part, adding pure white to the water. I want this painting to have a strong contrast, so I'm using pure white to highlight the creek. I really love this step because it makes the painting look more alive. Next, I'm adding yellow green to a few areas on the fallen tree trunk where moss is growing. This color is so vibrant and stands out from the rest of the painting. It adds a nice contrast. I'm still adding a few more shadows to the ground areas using black to emphasize the contrast even more. I'm also adding more rocks in the water and darkening the shadowed areas again. I'm giving the small rocks some shadows using a dark gray. Now I'm adding a bit of color to this tree trunk, just a little dark green to indicate some moss growing there but not too vibrant. This next step is also one of my favorites. You could leave this painting as it is, but I want to add fireflies. I'm using a yellow-orange color to paint small glowing circles where I imagine the fireflies will be. Then for the middle section of each firefly, I'm using lemon yellow to brighten it up. For the final touch, I'm placing a tiny dot of pure white in the center to create the effect of glowing light from the fireflies. And that's a wrap for today's painting. I know my process was a bit intuitive. I tend to jump around and work on different areas at once. Next time, I might try to be more structured, starting with the base colors and gradually building up the details. But honestly, I enjoy this way of painting, so I hope you still found it enjoyable to watch. If you like a print of this painting, you can find the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching.